What's up, traders? Happy Friday. I'm going to touch base with everybody this week. The topic for today, I'm going to talk about Bitcoin and some pricing models that people like to use on Twitter. I had a little quick discussion this week where I kind of wanted to refute a little Moonanite, but you know what? They could be right. We're going to look at something, we're going to polish off the old Bitcoin rainbow chart and take a look at it. And as I was looking at it, it's this right here, by the way. As I was looking at it to do a little pre-show prep, I had to say that there's something about the old price chart that I find kind of interesting because it matches with my model. But I'll rehash that as well. Also want to talk about Nvidia because I think people are noticing that it's doing a little bit of a pullback now. Maybe getting a little bit excited to get into that. As well as Monero and some other things. So if you're joining this later, just skip ahead. If you're joining it live, just wait till the end of the music for people to filter in, and we'll talk about it. See you in a minute. Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Happy Friday. This live stream, good to join y'all. I'm glad you spent this Friday with me, these couple of minutes here. It's in the summer months, and Bitcoin, like many things, has been just kind of hanging out, but there's still some interesting things to talk about this week. Bitcoin is on my mind because I am today, I'm going to be going to see this movie. There's like a screening. It's one of those kind of independent films. It's called Dirty Coin, and it's basically I understand it's supposed to be a refutation of this idea that Bitcoin burns too much electricity, contributes to global warming, yada yada yada, which has been sort of the political topic for the last few years. One of the criticisms of Bitcoin. So I don't have a review for it yet, but actually, I actually smoked a brisket for the after party because my friend asked me to. So at least I know that I'm going to eat well with some of my barbecue this evening, whether the movie's good or not. But I did want to talk about Bitcoin because this week, a friend of mine I was talking to, he shared with me this tweet, and this is by a poster, Sensei BTC. And what's interesting, of course, these kind of comments are going to get a lot of engagement. Of course, my friend, he shared it to me. But is it correct? I mean, I'm going to take the opinion that no, it's not correct, because I think when people take these kind of images, I'll blow it up here for a second, and they look at this as kind of the anatomy of a bubble sort of model. And I was hoping to drive a little bit of engagement with my comment. And I got one from somebody that said, "Oh, well, you identified the first shakeout, which is right here. You identified the first shakeout. That's actually the accumulation phase. That's actually down here. Well, you can't see it here because of. Let me move this over a little bit. You can't see that because of my face, but that's the actual accumulation phase that you identified." And okay, I mean, right now it's anyone's guess, but I wanted to kind of share my trading experience because I've been trading Bitcoin for, well, many years now, 14 years. Yeah, yeah. This is 2010. And so, but then of course, over this whole trend, which I say, and I'm very confident in saying, began in, let me be specific about it. It began all the way back here. Yeah, after the FTX collapse, the current trend that we sit in right now began, in January of 2023. That we can see that, but also I use Ichimoku as an indicator set to define that. And things are getting kind of very interesting, not just kind of interesting, on the Ichimoku front. I'm going to go through that real quick, as I like to do in my live streams, because I'm here to teach. By the way, do this every Friday, 4 p.m. Make sure that you do the follow, the likes, the shares. I like to get this message out there. I'm not charging people for classes. I just want to teach. And so things that are useful. And it's been Ichimoku on the daily has been extremely, extremely useful for many, many years. I'm going to talk about that here in a second. But yeah, if you got symbols to look at, things that I may have missed this week, which I probably did because I haven't really been out there looking for that many new opportunities during the summer melees. Everything's just at an all-time high, basically. So, I mean, I'm a pullback trader. I need price, in the stock market or any crypto for that matter, to do a pullback. I mean, the best pullback we had on the stock market was back in April. I was able to capture this and was real proud because that we've been waiting all year from January. The market's been bullish to pull back, and we finally got that back in April. Was able to kind of take opportunities, trade the futures, then do my allocation for my tax advantage account, was my IRA back in that little down cycle right there at the very beginning of May. Posted about it, taught about it a month ago, but now we're just kind of sitting here just inching up. You just got to sit and wait. And so I've been looking at some alternate investments like corporate bonds. I want to give a little update on my public account that I've set up there. A little quirky thing that happened with TFC. But yeah, Kroger. Yeah, definitely Kroger. I got a little notification. It was up big. Hold on. Let me not clear. Usually I clear up all my charts to make it very simple. Yeah, if you got symbols, guys, put them in the chat. Because like I said, I got that thing to go to. I won't let that take away from my time here. But yeah, I drew this last week when I was looking at it. It's very, very interesting. Okay, I will clean this up a little bit. One of the key things that I look for is 50% retracement levels. And I know I drew this last week, and look at that. Even though it had earnings today and it popped up so high, Was it yesterday or today? I had the notification on my phone. It was yesterday. Okay, so I just didn't include the notification from my phone yet. But yeah, it came down and boom, right here at this 50% level uh, at 50.22. If we look at that on the weekly, it makes it a little bit clearer. Yeah, just it's also a nice inflection point here as well. That's yeah. I mean, the fact that it's now earnings are over, so the uncertainty has gone away. It's still at a support. Yeah, I mean, adding to your Kroger is a pretty good idea right now. I'm not gonna hate it. So yeah, we'll look at all those things. All right, so let's talk about Bitcoin. That's going to be the topic. That's what I promised. So I'm going to talk about Bitcoin first, and then I want to look at, like I said, where's my little window here? A couple of these pricing models. This is one that I've is very popular, and I've kind of given it a little bit of crap over the years, but it's the rainbow chart. And what it tries to do is it tries to display Bitcoin in sort of a buy, sell model within the halvening cycle in sort of like a color coded, fun way. And what I found very funny that I made a lot of fun of was the fact that they had to redraw the Bitcoin chart during this last bear cycle because it went outside the range of the Bitcoin chart of the chart, the model. But I then go to the website today to check in again, and they've reverted back to the original. And what they did was instead of going to this new one, so they were going to use this new one so they could better encapsulate it. They redrew the model when it broke the model, and they have reverted back to the old model, but they added a new color. They added purple down at the bottom, or they changed it somehow. But I find it interesting if I go back and I look at the old chart, the new chart that they made. It actually, believe it or not, aligns itself with my own bullish model of Bitcoin. But let's talk about the price action in the current moment right here on Bitcoin. So let's go to daily chart. Let's put Ichimoku back on, and let me talk about my precepts. Okay, these are my fundamental precepts, the things that I presume. I define a trend with Ichimoku as when price and momentum, or the Chikou, I know I'm pronouncing that improperly and people will correct me, but it's the purple line or the lagging span within, usually it's purple and default colors. That's what I use, default colors, default numbers. And when price and momentum are on the same side of the cloud, you have that kind of trend, bullish or bearish. And so at the very moment where you have that condition happen, like it did in January 12th, 2023, it is now bullish. And if you wait, if you're patient and you look for this set of conditions to manifest, it's going to save you a lot of grief. It's going to keep you out of fake outs, because on the way down in November, right before the FTX collapse, you had price get above the cloud, but momentum was not. So you didn't buy. Same thing happened. Well, didn't quite get out of there, but it was contained by the cloud in August of 2022. Neither were true, and once again, you didn't get faked out. Now, there was a fake out in March of 2022, but if you had waited until the opposite was true to get out, then maybe you would have taken a little bit of a loss there as a trader. Okay? Time before that, again, not true. And Bitcoin was basically bearish all the way since December of 21. So if you're a trader, if you convert it to USDT, if you went to Tether in December of 2022, you sold at 52, maybe 50, and you bought here, maybe took about like a little, was it five, maybe a little 5K loss there. But then if you rebought when it finally was true again, and on January of 2023, then you would have bought right around 18,900. Great. And you know what? This is not just a single event. I have a video that I made 3 years ago when this happened, when it finally went bearish again, where I went back through all of Bitcoin's history, and I'm going to do that video again once it becomes true and Bitcoin is officially bearish again. Hasn't happened yet. Back in May, price got on the bearish side of the cloud. That ended up being a pullback. It happened to be at a nice little volume profile level, which I talked about when it happened. That was a really nice support. I think I even made a post about that. Yeah, Bitcoin at a critical point. Oh yeah, last support. Like this was basically the last support before Bitcoin would have gone bearish if it had broken there. Because if price had come down to 51,779, the next volume profile level, then price would have been full on bearish. Now we got a little run up, but people got pretty excited here a couple of weeks ago that finally it was going to happen. But now it's gone back to neutral again. And price, if it closes today, Friday, June the 21st, then price is going to be bearish versus the cloud. But momentum, as you see, is still inside that cloud, so we're still neutral. Can't say anything yet. But time or a little dip, like if we get down into the 60 or low 60s, that's going to get that momentum down, and then it's going to be bearish. And I'm going to make that video where we're going to go back and we're going to look at the difference between just straight up HODL and using Ichimoku, like using this method, this daily Ichimoku cloud method. This very simple technical analysis over the last decade of price action. And it does outperform. It does. You can always get back in. And that's kind of segues into the conversation I wanted to have about where this thing is in the cycle. We're going to use that model. Okay, let me pull that back up. Let me screenshot it and put it on the chart here so we can talk about it. Let me find it again. Where did I do with it? Ah, crap. Hold on. Let me use my stuff. Replies. There we go. Okay. Copy. Boom. All right. So this is the model, quote unquote. All right. And so this is kind of fits in with the anatomy of a bubble. In other words, in any trend that has a big blow up and off, in which, you're going to have this accumulation phase and this trend emergence. And then the key thing I wanted to talk about that I kind of identified was here, the shakeout point, and the point that the poster thinks we're at, which is the bear trap. And of course, this fits into a perma-bullish model that, whatever down move we're having right now is really just a bear trap. And, it's going to be as rich. We're going to be as rich as we want to be. I mean, that's what it all kind of is. It's kind of self-serving because a lot of, let's face it, if to get likes, shares, and subscribes on any social media, you want to tell people what they want to hear, right? And so that's why this thing's going to get shared. But what if we're actually here at the breakdown phase? That's an open question for which I have an answer. I think that we are. And here's why. And this is basically the first sentiment extreme, which is a very good way of putting it, was here. And this little spike up right here is the ETF launch. Now, that is quite literally a sentiment extreme because people were super excited that boomers were going to be buying Bitcoin through the ETF. They don't know how to set up a wallet. They don't know anything about the technology, but they want to be, as rich as all of us, really smart people, we Zoomers and millennials that, bought into all these magic internet monies. And now the boomers want that, right? Right? Because they're going to be retiring and being more risk averse, and they're going to want these things, right? Explanation's unclear, but that's what I was told. So that is really more the first sentiment extreme, and that fits somewhere right in the middle of this cycle right here. And then you have the bear trap, which is of course where the buy the rumor was, the ETF hype, and then this spike right here was the ETF launch date. Actually, I think the ETF might have launched on Tuesday of that week. But either way, here's a big spike out, and then you had the sell the news as price came down, and of course that is very categorically a bear trap. Why is it a bear trap? I got trapped. I was in a short position that I had to stop out of because I thought that it was going to go down because I'm kind of bearish on Bitcoin. Have been for a while. So I know it was a bear trap because I got trapped. Now, yeah, I know I'm kind of self-referential. I'm being myopic, but I'm just saying that is categorically what happened. The first sentiment extreme and then this movement after it, which trapped the bears. Now, let's go back a little bit, too, because if we go back to the accumulation and trend emergence, I mean, it's really the cadence of what you would expect. And this area right here in August of 2023 really was the first shakeout. Because remember what I just said about the Bitcoin trend, the Ichimoku trend, is based upon, I base my trend analysis on Ichimoku price versus the cloud, because the trend really emerged here. It pulled back to the cloud, didn't get bearish, by the way, so that kept it bullish. Then you had a little bit of a hold here, but then my rules that I set forth about when something is bearish, truly bearish, really came into play in August of 2023. That it was a shakeout. That was where the bearish trend shook out. I was actually in a short position from this high in July, which was based upon the 50% retracement, which is another thing that I trust, of this move down. It was perfect from the March 2022 high to the November low. It hit it perfectly, bing, caught a short position at 31.7, and I was short and confident that this thing was about to trend bearish. Well, I didn't lose on this, because then when we had this October spike up right there, October the 16th, that is when it became true to the bullish side, and so I exited my short position. Had a little small profit, okay? So made money shorting even in an uptrend. That's what I like to do. So therefore, to me, in my analysis and my trading, that was the shakeout. And so now we come to this current model. Let's clean things up a little bit. Now we come to the current price action, and we have had quite a bit of euphoria and FOMO up into March of this year. I don't know what the shoot across means, but I do believe that this pullback that we had in here in May was the bull trap. And then we literally do have a lower high, because the high, the new all-time high, was 73,757, and then we tried it again, but now we've gone back to neutral. If this thing was bullish, people should have started buying it with reckless abandon, especially if you're going to get up to that $1 million Bitcoin that everyone thinks is going to happen or thought was going to happen by the end of the year. We're sitting about halfway through, and we're still at this all-time high. Now, backing up a little bit, the primary reason that I think that this is done and has been done for quite some weeks now is because even though you punched up above and got a new all-time high, it was an immediate sell-off and shakeout. And these kind of price actions where price goes up and then fails intra-bar or within the next bar, that is a tremendous reversal signal. Now, it hasn't reversed hard, but it's not bullish. So that's where it stands right now, and I think maybe by next live stream, perhaps we get a little. Maybe I bet about 2 live streams, because if I kind of go through here and I say, all right, well, the speed of Bitcoin is not very quick right now. It's if we come down to the next week to here, still technically going to be inside the cloud, so not bearish, but we'll see. We'll see. We need basically either a movement of 4%, which I guess is not that hard for Bitcoin to do, or we need to go out maybe about 2 weeks, and then things are going to really get naturally bearish. So we'll see. We'll see. And if we get back up again, we may go up. We'll see. We'll see. But those are the rules that I'm going to follow and try to analyze this. So if you got any questions about that, if you want to tell me I'm wrong, you're welcome to. But that is the way that I'm playing this. I'm full disclosure. I am still hodling my Bitcoin short via BITI, which is the short Bitcoin ETF. Just kind of hanging out, just like everybody else. But this is what I'm positioned. I am positioned short. I am. So I am talking my bag, basically. All right. So let's see. I need Bitcoin at like 11K. Yeah. I don't know if I would buy a Bitcoin actually. I guess I would. I'm far more interested in Monero, which, by the way, did a pullback to the Kijun Sun, and I bought a little bit today at 159. I had an order there. Yeah, that's a nice pullback. It's not a standard trade. I would have rather it been at a matching point there, but we'll see what happens here. I look for some information why it sold off to this point. I don't know, but I feel a lot like Bitcoiners when it comes to Monero. I can't, whenever it drops a big percentage in the day, I see that as a buying opportunity. That's just the way I look at it. I'm kind of a Monero maximalist, I think. Could I look at the Hang Seng Index? Yeah, but I don't think I'm going to trade that. But yeah, I will for you, Jorge. All right. So yeah, I wanted to look at those models. Let me bring up my. Yeah, we can do that too. Where's my Bitcoin model? Is it number 2 or 1? Yeah. Oh, okay. So this is my model, and I did this by some real hackiness where I just kind of looked at the price chart of Bitcoin on a logarithmic scale, and then attributed the angles of highs and lows to project out a model for what is likely for. And it kind of comes to a place that the rainbow chart does as well. And essentially, the high of this cycle, wherever we are in it, I really think is probably going to be somewhere around 145, 145, 150, depending on where it happens. So I do think the price is going to go up between now and the next halvening in 2028. So between now over the next 4 years, I think that the high will be somewhere at the higher end of this range. And I base this upon, it's very similar to supply. How the curve is exponential, but not exponentially going up like that, but rather the highs and lows are increasing, but at a decreasing rate. And I think that's kind of important when people are, kind of trying to think about, their projections of where Bitcoin is going to be. It may be a little bit conservative, but I think that the model kind of fits this very well. And this is my personal model right here. So, I mean, basically, by the next halvening, price may be about 250,000 Bitcoin. Still a great return, but as a trader, I know from experience and just looking at a chart that Bitcoin will have 60, 70, maybe even 85% pullbacks. So where we sit right now, no matter what model you look at, Bitcoin is in, where did that go? Bitcoin is in the halfway point. So as if they do this model right here, of course, it's still a buy. And anyone that you ask on Twitter is going to tell you that it's a buy. But I really, like I said, my model and the new rainbow chart, which is now the old rainbow chart, puts price inside the middle of these logarithmic models. And as a trader, as an investor, if I'm looking at 2x my return, but facing a 60 to 85% drawdown, I'm just not interested. I know that lightning is going to strike again because it has struck so many times before with, like I said, the daily Ichimoku strategy with a Bitcoin chart where we had that the 2022 down move, and then price emerged from the cloud here, and then you can buy again. So what you need is another cycle like that. If Bitcoin goes, I'm never really rushing to buy Bitcoin ever, because I know that even if Bitcoin goes up to 300,000, In the next cycle, it will come back down 70% or more to 60,000 again. Basically, no matter how high Bitcoin goes in this cycle, at some point in the next few years, I'll be able to buy it again for the price it is today because of where we are in the cycle. I just know this from history. And I don't listen to people that tell me, oh, it's going to go to 1 million because reasons. I mean, maybe. But then it'll come back down to, you know what, 250,000 afterwards. Still. Bitcoin has had a negative 90% cycle. Oh, but that was back, in 2010, bro. That doesn't was things are different now. Okay. Yeah, the last trend that really began in 2020, towards the end of it. Remember, I don't think people do. When COVID hit, when a really big economic calamity happened, the stock market fell 30% over the course of a couple of weeks. Bitcoin from the high to low fell 62% just in the span of about a month. So I'm never rushing and never feeling I'm gonna FOMO. Speaking of FOMO, Nvidia. I had a friend of mine this week that showed me an order. He was about to buy some Nvidia. I was like, "What are you doing?" No. Just it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. You don't, if you don't have Nvidia now, you don't need to go and buy it now. Okay? If you just scroll back a little bit, and it's a lot on a daily chart, but a little bit on a weekly chart, and you look, yeah, okay, this is a big move, it's a big yeet, but what about this right down here from 2021 down to the low here? Let me be accurate here. Nvidia had a huge run. Let's just do this. Let's just pretend we can't see all that. That's clouding our judgment, okay? Let's look at this chart of Nvidia. This is just less than 2 years ago. Less than 2 years ago. Had a big giant run up in 2021 where everyone just needed to own it again. And from that high, for reasons that are I don't even know. We could probably go back and look at the news, but for some reason, people sold off Nvidia 68% negative. Jeez. Now, of course, if you would have bought it at the high, you'd be fine now, as the rhetoric goes. But you can do better. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. You can get 5.6% risk-free in a cash account or doing some treasury bonds. You're fine. Inflation may be higher than 3%, but you'll be okay. Just be patient. You don't have to buy Nvidia right now. It's a tech stock, okay? It will crash. It's just what they do. Same thing with Bitcoin. Same thing with anything else. I mean, with volatility, which is what big charts like this are, they're volatile. Volatility is a double-edged sword, and it cuts hard on both sides, really and truly. So, yeah, that's something where you can be patient in. So, 11K to shake out Sailor. Yeah, I mean, what is MicroStrategy at? We'll see. There's a lot of people out there that are either long Bitcoin, short MicroStrategy, or the reverse. It's an interesting trade. I'm not involved in that trade, but I know people are doing it. Okay, let's see. Let's go through. I actually got a response on my question this week. Okay. Now let me. I want to finish talking about Bitcoin. Sorry, before I move on. I actually do. So here's the old chart, and what's interesting about that. Remember how my model had the top around 2030 of being about 300. Yeah, I think if price were to be in this yellow range here, let me zoom this in. Can we zoom? Yeah, we can zoom. There we go. If price were to be if price were to be in this yellow range, wait, no, that's the new one. On the old model around 2028, in the orange range. Yeah, 300. That's about where I have it. I think this is probably more accurate. Now, a lot of people are looking at the halving model to see that, okay, well, there is within the first half of the after the halving, you have a big run up. That's for the last, 3 times. Okay, fair point. Fair point, fair point. But it could happen later. I mean, you could have another little drop off in there as well. It's really just who knows, okay? But I do think that we're halfway through. And so as a trader, I'm going to be looking for like a really, really good pullback. Okay. Because, we could have some situation like this, in like a COVID crash that could be, very useful in trying to grab it at like a fire sale price. I mean, if we get a fire sale on it, I'm down. I'm down to take a risk on it. But I'm not going to buy it with these hopes and dreams and hopes, dreams, and memes. That's what Bitcoin Twitter has. And so, yeah, I think the old model is a little bit more accurate. So, I got to answer on my public question because there's a bond. Let me see if they. Okay, let's take a look here. So I saw this bond on public. I talked about this last week. These corporate bonds, and it was saying there was a 14% yield, and it did not make sense because the coupon was only 2.6% and the price is 97. So let's see here. Okay, no, they didn't answer me back. That was me asking the question. Okay, one of the agents has not gotten back to me. Anyway, I'm curious why this is. So if you're going through this platform, I now want to issue a little bit of a caveat that when you're looking at the yield, you might want to double check and see like 143% yield. Yeah, you might want to double check these yields a little bit. Like for instance, this one right here, this AT&T. Yeah, this doesn't make sense. Well, I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense if you're buying it for $16. Remember, the par value is 100, but this maybe it's because the spread is so high. So, again, I've still been buying some of these corporate bonds right now. So far, what I've done is I've gotten 3. By the way, I've been kind of annoyed because they don't take limit orders, or nobody filled my limit order, and you can't do a good till cancel limit order. But yeah, I've gotten a couple of these right here that are giving me somewhere around the realm of 5 to 10% over the next several years, just to kind of play around with them. And so, yeah, I'm up, $6 today. Yeah, not YOLO gains, but I mean these are things that I'm trying to do to kind of squirrel away cash and wait for a stock or crypto pullback that's significant. So, I think someone asked about ton. And I noticed that there was an altcoin season chart, which now says it's Bitcoin season, huzzah. But I think I noticed that one of the things on here was ton, which over the last 90 days is up 169%. So we'll take a look at that. If I understand correctly, ton is sort of the native crypto of Tether. I think that's what it is. But yeah, it is definitely up. With anything like this, when it's up, I'm going to tell you that it's bullish. Would I buy it? I would wait for a pullback. If you had come to me and asked me to do an analysis somewhere in April, I noticed that it did a nice 50% pullback, which is what I would look for in anything. But now, where would I take a pullback on this? Let's see. So let's first do the 50% level of the trend as it is. So still 5.1. And then let's do a volume profile to see where it sits. Well, we have a nice volume profile level that sits about 641 or 407. So that would be the first pullback level I would look at there. And then if I was looking for more at 50% level, I'll probably try to pick it up at 535. So those are going to be the 2 levels that I would look at for a pullback on ton. Otherwise, it's bullish. I'm not just going to jump into it. I want to pull back. Do I think the tons chart is like the first year of Solana? I don't know because I would need to look at Solana, but I'll just go ahead and say that as a trader, I'm going to follow rules. And it doesn't matter if it looks that way, I'm still going to look for some sort of a pullback. First year of Solana. Well, even still, the first year of Solana, it went up to here in 2021, but then it came down uh, 95%. So if I'm going to look at the first year of Solana, I probably want to look at the next couple years, and then I need to understand that patience is still the order of the day. Let's look at okay, so this was May of 2020 all the way till here's May, March. Are you talking about this first cycle right here? Well, even still, what you would notice is that you had a major pullback here from the high. You still had pullbacks along the way. What I want you to do is what I showed on that other on the chart over there, which is look for 50% retracements and volume profile levels, and then put orders there. But don't just go jumping into things. So that's what I would do. I would look for those kind of pullbacks on that. All right, let's go back through some of the things to look at, and then, like I said, I'm going to start wrapping things up. You got things to look at? Let's post it in the chat. Okay, NKLA, Nicola. I thought they went bankrupt, and they, oof. I don't really want this, John. I don't know. What's GME doing, by the way? Since we're talking about, ooh, oh no, it's not mooned. Gee, who would ever thought that? Oops. Ford. It's kind of hanging out. It's kind of breaking below its volume profile level. It's not good. Got nothing. It's not really coming back to an obvious level. Let's see. Intel. Yeah, sure, Coffee Guru. Intel, I've got it here. This was a stop out a couple of weeks ago, and it's below its volume profile level on the leg up. I'd say that you've got a support from this little price area down here at about 29, but I would wait on the daily for this thing to get bullish again. It's not looking too good. Let's see. Philip Morris. Hey, I've owned this for a very long time, getting a dividend. Dividend yield is probably pretty strong on this. You're betting on people smoking cigarettes. I haven't known anybody that really quits. Let's see. What did that? Out of curiosity, let's see. Did that bring about? It didn't quite hit the volume profile level, did it? I wish it was perfect. AVGO. I'm gonna lightning round it real quick because I do have that thing. Oof. I mean, that's a chip manufacturer. It's getting the same kind of pullback it looks like Nvidia is doing. The hype is kind of falling off. So I would look for something to pull back maybe at the top of that range or the volume profile of that range. They're doing a split like Nvidia, or like just doing a split. Yeah, that's from pre-split hype, but it looks like they're just kind of doing a correlation with Nvidia. I mean, it's selling off this week, basically reaching a high on Thursday and then just quickly selling off. All right. Let's see what else. Hang Seng Index and then fast, and then let's see FXI. I will be honest with you. I don't mess around with Chinese stocks. I don't, because I don't believe that the Chinese Communist Party actually likes capitalism. And there's been several instances where they've kind of dipped their hand in the market and blown up some really good investments that other people have been in. And so my aversion to Chinese stocks has served me pretty well. What's Alibaba? Alibaba was kind of a big thing, a couple of years ago. People got really interested in it, and then the Chinese government basically, I think Jack Mao, he kind of disappeared, right? maybe to save himself from jail, or maybe he went into a dark room and they beat him for a while because he started. I think he was trying to open up a financial platform, and I think they didn't like that. But I remember he went missing for a few weeks, and then came back, and he hasn't made any real public statements after that. So I don't know what happened there, but I know that Alibaba, as you know, a stock, has just died for people that got really excited about it a couple of years ago. This is before 2020 actually. So I just don't mess around with Chinese stocks because there's been several instances where it's just it gets a little too hyped and then it falls off, but overall it just doesn't go anywhere. Like Chinese stocks, I just don't see the benefit when you have the whole breadth of the U.S. stock market and all its components that are not going to be at the whim of the Chinese government. It's kind of biased against it. So Neo is Chinese. You just yeah, all those hypes from yesteryear. All right, fast. This is the kind of pullback I like. I like it when people come to me with these kind of things because now we're getting kind of interesting. So I want to see a 6139. That works really well because it's coming back to pull back to the cloud here as well. The cloud can act as a sort of dynamic support, especially if it's backed up by 50%. And then if we do this, right around this area right here, the last level there, yeah. So basically somewhere in this little area right here, I would set an alert for. I like it. I like it like kind of the 61.39 to 60 range. And I think this is many times, Coffee Guru, I have done this for you, for things you bring to my attention. Well, let's just do this. I set alerts because I like it. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you all for joining me. I'm going to wrap things up here because, yeah, talked about what I want to talk about, and I got a barbecue to be to. So, trade wisely. We'll see you guys next week. Like, share, subscribe, all that thing down below. Bye-bye.